In the previous segment, I described how Rachel Cryer was left a sobbing, convulsive mess because Aaron Klein told her that neither he nor his wife felt comfortable, as a matter of their religious convictions, in creating a wedding cake for a same-sex ceremony. Rachel's mother, Cheryl, went back to confront Aaron again, inviting him to join the more enlightened community by setting aside his religious convictions. Aaron cited a scripture that talked about homosexuality, meaning homosexual acts, as an abomination. Cheryl went out to the car and told her already traumatized daughter that this man had said that she was an abomination and that her gay sibling was an abomination as well, which is not what Aaron said. Cheryl and Rachel drove home to continue now with the final order. She was crying when they arrived home and immediately went upstairs to her bedroom, followed by Laurel and Cheryl, where she lay in her bed crying. At this point, and I'll try to summarize, Cheryl related to Laurel her distorted version of what Aaron had told her, saying once again that he had supposedly told her that your children are an abomination. Those words never emerged from Aaron Klein's mouth, according to subsequent testimony. The record of sworn testimony does not validate that description of what Aaron said. What he did was he cited as his authority Leviticus 18:22 that described the act as an abomination. He said nothing about the children. Laurel, who was raised a Catholic, recognized Klein's statement as a reference from Leviticus. She was shocked to hear that Aaron had referred to her as an abomination and thought Cheryl might have heard it wrong. No, she didn't hear it wrong. She misrepresented what was said. She took the denial of service in this manner to mean this is a creature not created by God, not created with a soul. They are unworthy of holy love, and they are not worthy of life. Once again, all very interesting, not at all relevant to what Aaron Klein said or did. She immediately thought that this would never have happened if she had not asked Rachel to marry her and felt shame because of it. She was also worried that this might negatively impact Cheryl's acceptance of her daughter's sexual orientation. That's an issue over which Aaron Klein has no control. While this was going on, the older of the foster daughters was extremely agitated from events at school that day. Laurel tried to calm her, but she refused to be calmed, repeatedly calling out for Rachel, with whom she had a special bond. Eventually, E, that's the older of those foster daughters, cried herself to sleep. Laurel's inability to calm E was very frustrating to her. She felt overwhelmed because she didn't know how to handle the situation. That night, Laurel was very upset, cried a lot, was hurt and angry. Welcome to parenthood. This is the sort of thing you have to deal with when you're dealing with any child, particularly one with special needs, I would imagine. On the following day, Laurel filled out an Oregon Department of Justice consumer complaint form using her smartphone to access the Department of Justice's website. In hard copy, the complaint was 2 pages long. On the first page, she provided her name, address, phone number, and email address. Sweetcakes' name, address, and phone number. On the first page, immediately above the space where Laurel wrote her name, the following text was printed. By submitting this complaint, I understand A, this complaint will become part of DOJ's permanent records and is subject to Oregon's public records law. B, this complaint may be released to the business or person about whom I am complaining. C, this complaint may be referred to another government agency. By submitting this complaint, I authorize any party, I reiterate, to release to the DOJ any information and documentation relative to this complaint. This public records disclaimer was not visible on LBC's smartphone view of DOJ's form. If it's important enough to file a complaint, it is important enough to read the entire document. But for convenience sake, she just got out her smartphone and then typed in the complaint and sent it through without reading it and knowing fully what she was committing herself to do. On the second page, Laurel described the details of her complaint as follows. In November of 2011, my fiancé and I purchased a wedding cake from this establishment for her mother's wedding. We spent $250. When we decided to get married ourselves, chose to back and purchase a second cake. I'm reading this exactly, by the way. Today, January 17, 2013, we went for our cake tasting. That's not true. Rachel went, Laurel did not. When asked for a groom's name, my soon-to-be mother-in-law informed them of my name. The owner then proceeded to say we were abominations unto the Lord and refused to make another cake for us, despite having already paid $250 once and having done business in the past. That's not true. First of all, she's testifying about events she didn't witness and about things that were not said in her presence. Secondly, once again, as subsequent testimony proved, Aaron Klein did not say what was imputed to him in this complaint. We were then informed that our money was not equal. My fiancé reduced to tears. This is absolutely unacceptable. Aaron at no point said that their money was not equal. What he said is that his business would not accept money to offer this specific service. On January 18th, Rachel felt depressed and questioned whether there was something inherently wrong with the sexual orientation she was born with and if she and Laurel deserved to be married like a heterosexual couple. She spent most of her day in her room trying to sleep. There are children, special needs children, who needed her attention. Because of her own psychological crisis, she spent the entire day in her bedroom asleep rather than taking time to tend to the needs of children she wanted to adopt. This is somebody, irrespective of identity, who is not ready for parenthood. She is endlessly self-preoccupied and emotionally precarious. Most people have these weaknesses. But one of the things you have to do if you're going to accept the responsibilities that come with the family and with parenthood is to manage those problems in order to put your children first. That's a commitment you have to make if you understand what parenthood is about. In the days following January 17th, Rachel had difficulty controlling her emotions and cried a lot, and complainants argued because of Rachel's inability to control her emotions. They had not argued previously since moving to Oregon. Rachel also became more introverted and distant in her family relationships. Rachel questioned whether she had the ability to be a good mother because of the difficulty she was having in controlling her emotions. That's an entirely legitimate question. A week later, Rachel still felt very sad and stressed, felt concerned about still having to plan her wedding, and felt less exuberant about the wedding. In the days following January 17, 2013, Laurel experienced extreme anger, outrage, embarrassment, exhaustion, frustration, intense sorrow, and shame as a reaction to Aaron's refusal to provide a cake. She's still obsessing over this. She felt sorrow because she couldn't console the older of the two children. She could not protect Rachel, and because Rachel was no longer sure she wanted to be married. On January 28th of 2013, the Department of Justice mailed a copy of Laurel's consumer complaint to the respondents, that is to Aaron and Melissa, along with a cover letter. In pertinent part, the cover letter stated, "We have received the enclosed consumer complaint about your business." I'll skip down 2 paragraphs here. "In the interest of efficiency, we prefer that you respond directly to the complainant and email a copy of the response to our office." In other words, they were instructed by the Department of Justice to contact the complainants directly, which is something, as far as the record suggests, they didn't do. One of the apparently deathless falsehoods put into circulation by the Stalinist faction of the social justice warrior movement, assuming that that's merely a faction and not a description of the entire movement, is that Aaron and Melissa maliciously harassed and doxed, D-O-X-X-E-D, this couple, which is to say that they exposed their personal information to the public in the hope of inciting harassment of the couple or retaliation. As I pointed out, they received a message from the Department of Justice on January 28th informing them of the complaint and asking them to contact the couple. Aaron and Melissa Klein, rather than harassing the couple, simply chose not to have any further contact with them. On the following day, Aaron posted a copy of the first page of the complaint on his Facebook page, prefaced by his comment, "This is what happens when you tell gay people you won't do their wedding cake." At the time, according to the final order, Aaron Klein had only 17 friends on his Facebook page. On that same day, somebody contacted the attorney representing the couple, Paul Thompson, about the Facebook post. Apparently, Thompson contacted Klein. Klein took down the post. That was the only thing that Klein did that constituted publicizing the quote-unquote personal information of this couple. In other words, he posted on his Facebook page the text of a public document describing his case. Skipping down to page 19, beginning at line 10 in the final order, we read the following. Although Aaron Klein has been interviewed by the media on a number of occasions about the case, he did not initiate any contacts with the media. Other than posting Laurel's Department of Justice complaint on his Facebook page, there is no evidence that Aaron Klein gave complainants' names to the media. Finally, there is no evidence in the record of any untruthful statements that Aaron or Melissa Klein made to the public media regarding their case. They didn't dox the couple. The couple doxed themselves. I'll be back in just a minute.